Hello and welcome to today's video about fraction division. First, let's talk about finding a common denominator in order to divide. The first problem we are going to look at is 6 divided by 2/3. Step 1 is going to be to rename 6 so that it has thirds as a denominator. What number does 3 go into 6 times? The answer to this question is 18. So 18/3 is going to be our new fraction that we are going to use to represent 6. Then we're going to write down the rest of the problem, which is divided by 2/3. The next thing we're going to do is actually divide the numerators and the denominators. So that looks like this. 18 divided by 2 over 3 divided by 3. 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we come out with 9 over 1. 9 over 1 is the same thing as 9, so 6 divided by 2/3 is 9. This means that there are 9 sets of 2/3 in the number 6. To see why this method works, let's look at 6 whole circles that have been divided into thirds. If we were to go through and circle 2/3 of each one of these, we would end up with 9 total circles. It would look like this. As you can see, I've created 9 circles around 2/3 of each of these whole pieces. So I've got 2/3 here, 2/3 here, 2/3 here, 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 and here. And this equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is why we got the answer of 9 at the end of our problem. So, within the whole of 6, there are 9 sets of 2/3. Now, let's look at one more example. Jake has 6 pounds of sugar. He wants to put it in packages that hold 3/4 of a pound each. How many packages can he make? When I use numbers to write this problem, I am going to find that I am trying to divide 6 by 3/4, and that's the problem that I need to solve. The first thing that I need to do is rewrite 6 so that it has the same denominator as the dividing fraction, which is 4. So now I need to figure out what 4 times 6 is, or what number 4 goes into 6 times. This number is 24. I'm going to divide 24/4 by 3/4, which is going to look like this. 24 divided by 3 over 4 divided by 4. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 4 divided by 4 is 1, which means that we have 8 over 1, making our answer 8. So Jake can make Jake can make 8 packages of sugar out of 6 pounds of sugar altogether. Here is another way to look at this problem so that you can see exactly what I've done with my division. As you can see at the bottom, I have added 6 whole circles, which I've divided into fourths. If I want 3/4 of the sugar to be in each package, and each one of these circles represents 1 pound of the sugar that Jake has, I am going to circle 3/4 of each of these circles. So I've got 1 package of sugar, 2 packages of sugar, 3 packages, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can see I've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 full packages of sugar from the 6 pounds of sugar that Jake originally had. That's why 6 divided by 3/4 is equal to 8. Now let's look just briefly at a shortcut that may help some of you who are not visual learners, who would just like to use numbers and instead to do your solving. This shortcut is pretty simple, and I'm going to show you with these 3 different problems because they have some different features in them. This first problem consists of just good old-fashioned fractions. The second one includes a mixed number and a fraction, which is another thing I want to explore with you briefly. And the final one includes just a whole number and a fraction, which is a third thing that I'd like to explore with you briefly as well. There's kind of a neat trick that comes into play that at a higher level of math, a lot of kids are able to use and understand. So those of you that feel comfortable with this are welcome to use this method if this is easier for you. Let's look first at 4/7 divided by 3/5. This method involves basically changing the division symbol to a multiplication symbol, but when you do that, you have to flip the second fraction over. This rule is called invert and multiply. So invert means basically to take this second fraction and flip it over. When I do that, my problem is going to end up looking like this. 4/7, remember I'm changing my division symbol to a multiplication symbol now, and I've created 5/3 because I inverted the second fraction. Now I just get to multiply right across like what you're used to doing. 4 times 5 is 20, 7 times 3 is 21, and that is my final answer. I can't simplify that because they have no common factors other than 1. And so the answer to 4/7 divided by 3/5 is 20/21. Now let's look at this second problem. We're going to do something very similar. The only thing that's going to be different this time is that because we have 4 1/8, we have to change that first into an improper fraction because we're not going to deal with a whole number and make a huge mess out of all of these numbers. It's just easier. Trust me when I tell you that. So to change 4 1/8 into a mixed number, we know that we're going to multiply 4 times 8, and then we're going to add 1 to that number and put everything over 8 because that was our original denominator. 4 times 8 is 32, and 32 plus 1 is 33. So like I said, we're going to have 8s. We're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to invert our second fraction, which becomes 4/3. 33 times 4 is then 132 over 8 times 3, which is 24. When I simplify this improper fraction, I find out that 24 goes into 132, a total of 5 whole times. That is going to leave me with 12 left over 24, our same denominator. Looking at these numbers, I can tell that 12 and 24 can be simplified further than what they are. 5 gets to stay the same, but I am going to simplify 12/24 into 1/2 because their greatest common factor is 12. 12 goes into 12 one time, which is where I got this, and 12 goes into 24 twice, which is where I got the 2. So 4 1/8 divided by 3/4 is 5 1/2. Now let's talk about this final problem, and the reason I wanted to look at this one is because it has simply a whole number and there is no fraction, it's not a mixed number, it's just a whole number. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what to do when that happens and you're using this shortcut method, the invert and multiply method. Because 5 is not a fraction, we want to rewrite it to be a fraction, and you should know by now, hopefully, that when you rewrite a whole number as a fraction, other than the way that we did it on the last slide, we are simply going to take that whole number and put it over 1, and bam, it becomes a fraction. Then, just as we did before, we are going to change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol. We're going to invert the second fraction and make it 3/2, and then we're going to multiply straight across. 5 times 3 is 15, 2 times 1 is 2. Then we're going to change the improper fraction into a mixed number. There are 7 2's in 15, which leaves 1 left over. We're going to bring down that original denominator of 2, and we get 7 1/2. You do need to simplify these fractions as much as you can. So remember, the big idea here is that when you have a whole number, just a whole number, you need to turn it into a fraction, and to do that, you simply take the whole number, put it over a 1, and you get a fraction that you can then multiply after you've inverted the second fraction in your problem. Here is your practice problem of the day. Maya has 6 yards of plastic strips for making bracelets. She needs 1/2 yard for each bracelet. How many bracelets can she make? What problem is it that you're trying to solve in this problem? Remember that we're working with fraction division. If you need to draw a picture to help you, you may do that. If you would like to try the invert and multiply method, you can also do that. Anything that you can do to figure out how many bracelets she can make from 6 yards of plastic strips when she only needs 1/2 yard for each bracelet. Good luck.